Jennifer Cahill, welcome to the Fieldswell Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Lauren. It's such a pleasure to be with you.
Likewise, as an entrepreneur, executive coach, speaker, podcast host, your work spans recording a series with Deepak Chopra on the intersection of science and spirituality, co-founding Optimatch, a revolutionary algorithm designed to enhance human connections in business, and building schools in Nepal and Senegal. Has elevating consciousness always been a passion of yours? Maybe talk us through the journey on how you've arrived here.
Thank you, Lauren. Well, I wish I could say it's always been a passion, but unfortunately, I lived the first probably 20 to 30 years of my life with very little consciousness. I was distinguishing something with a coaching client this last week. A dear friend of mine and business partner and one of my greatest mentors is a gentleman by the name of Arthur Samuel Joseph, who created something called vocal awareness. And he's taught it to Tony Robbins, Pierce Brosnan, Sean Connery, all these incredible prolific thought leaders and actors and speakers. And two of his tenets in vocal awareness are these ideas of conscious awareness and deeper listening. And while I was on a call with one of my clients this week, we were distinguishing this idea of deeper listening and conscious awareness and how those two things will differentiate. So I'll use that to kind of get into my own journey, which I've never shared outside of this call I had earlier this week. When I think of what Arthur created with in terms of conscious awareness, it's being aware that we even are conscious. Are we these NPCs just kind of reacting, go drink our coffee, go to work, get married, have kids? Nothing wrong with that. But are we even aware that we're doing it, or are we just going through the motions? So to reflect back on my own journey, I was most certainly unconscious for the majority of the first 20 plus 30 years of my life. And then when we tie in what I was distinguishing with the client of this idea of deeper listening, when we can first awaken and realize that we have this choice to be turned on or turned off, and that's how we get to engage with life. Life is not happening to us, it's happening for us and with us in this beautiful synchronistic symbiotic dance that we all call life. So that's the conscious awareness piece. And then when we tie in the deeper listening, even right now, or when I was doing the series with Deepak or any interview, I'm listening not only to the words as I'm saying and to the words as you're saying them, I'm also listening for you or for anybody I speak with. What is not being said that needs to be said, or what is not being said that could be called into the awareness? Yeah. And I think that's where I've spent the last decade or so of my life deep delving into that and really helping everybody else do the same. Lord, my dream is to be the fairy godmother of human connection, and that every person on the planet gets a deep and meaningful relationship with themselves and others. So that's my dream.
That's beautiful. I think we're in a period of time right now where we're starting to wake up. We're starting to realize we don't want to be on autopilot, running like a machine. We want to have this deeper level of connection, not only with others, but also with ourselves. And sometimes there's like an awakening or an event that happens in your life where you're all of a sudden like reach a breaking point and you're like, I'm not fulfilled, or I'm not going down my right path. Was there a moment like that for you that really woke you up to becoming more conscious?
I wouldn't say it was one moment, Lauren. It was a series of moments. It was the first time I realized I was a jerk. I always jokingly say, so one day I'll write a book that's actually already in process called The Recovering Jerk, or The Recovering Blank Hole, which I'll leave up to your but that was the first time I realized I was a jerk, was when I was about 23 years old and doing my first ever personal development class. And I thought I was a good person. I really did. I was like, I donate, I give to charity, I try to be a generous friend. And then somebody called me out in a personal development class and basically said, you are a nasty thing. You're like Godzilla walking through a city with this huge tail swinging behind you, knocking down buildings wherever you go. Except guess what? Those aren't buildings. Those are people whose lives you're destroying. And yeah,
Wow.
That was the first wake-up call when I was about 23 years old. And then fast forward, I got my first business coach when I was in my early 30s, who's now my business partner of our current company, Optimatch. And Julian really illuminated for me how we all are designed differently. This has been my life's work now for the last 15, 20 years, is understanding, even though Lauren and Jennifer might be looking at the same camera or seeing the same background or even speaking the same language, sometimes we can't hear each other. And
Ah,
so Julian
yeah.
really brought that to my awareness as my business coach.
Mhm.
And that's what I aim to do with what we do with Optimatch and with all of my work in the world is how do we learn to speak the same language where even if
Mhm.
we it differently, even if we both speak English, how can we have the way we speak
Mhm.
land in a way that uplifts, inspires, and impacts people in a positive way
Yeah.
rather than a reactive way? Because I was just talking to somebody about this the other day. Oftentimes, Lauren, we're not two adults having a 33 and a 43-year-old conversation. We are two 5-year-olds having tantrums with one another and can't figure out why we can't communicate well.
Connect. Yeah. It's so true. I actually had Jem Fuller
Ah,
on talk
yeah,
about conscious communication. I think he may be the one who introduced me to you.
you
And it's
did.
so beautiful how, when you feel like you're just like connecting so beautifully to others to have these sorts of conversations. And so often what's happening is like we think we've been heard correctly or that the other person understands what we're trying to say or what we're asking, but they really don't. And we just continue on. And then there's a miscommunication because something was missed. And so much that has to do with not deeply listening to what the other person is saying.
Yeah, absolutely. This is exactly the feedback I was giving to my coaching client this week. As I was telling him, what I want you to do is ask somebody else what matters to you. It's one of my favorite exercises that I do
Mhm.
teach. I just got to teach this in a business school a couple weeks ago. Is I'll
Mhm.
have people start with heart focused breathing by heart math to regulate the nervous system.
Yeah.
Because the biggest reason, Lauren, that we don't
Mhm.
hear each other is it's not even our higher consciousness. Our consciousness has nothing to do with it. It's our
Mhm.
amygdala. It's the lower part of our
Mhm.
brain, that fight or
Mhm.
flight. Oh my God, they're tigers. And the tigers aren't anything real. They're these metaphorical tigers that we're
Yeah.
running around from. And so step one, when I teach people this technique, is do some sort of breathing technique. I
Mhm.
love heart focused breathing by HeartMath,
Mhm.
vagal nerve breathing, box breathing, take your
Mhm.
pick, anything to quiet the amygdala. Step two, ask the person you're sitting with. It could be your date, your best friend, your child, your romantic interest, and just tell them, or ask them rather, what matters to you?
Wow.
And then listen and repeat back to them not only what they said, but
Mhm.
also what you didn't hear them say. And I remember one guy when I was teaching this on an island a couple years ago at an entrepreneurial event, we did this exercise, and a gentleman came up to me afterwards and said, Jen, I just came out to my partner that I'm an alcoholic, like his person that I had him partner with in this exercise. And he said, I didn't get that I was an addict until they were listening so deeply that it got reflected back to me. And
Wow.
that's what's possible, Lauren. Just listen,
Mhm.
repeat back to people, even
Mhm.
whether it is your child, your best friend, your
Mhm.
romantic or business partner. Say,
Yeah.
Lauren, it sounds to me like what I heard you say matters to you is uplifting and inspiring people to be their most healthy, fulfilled, vital selves. And
Mhm.
what I didn't hear you say, but what I also got mattered to you is that this isn't just something you want to do in San Diego. It's something you want to do globally, and that you have a vision to help not
Yeah.
just a few hundred or a few thousand, but tens of thousands or millions of people. And then you reflect that, and then all of a sudden
Mhm.
communication lands in a different
Mhm.
way.
Mhm. It's really beautiful what's possible when someone feels seen, heard, and like they matter to you, like what they're saying matters, and like you're actually listening. And I want to get into this heart math because I know we spoke on it a bit on our intro call. And is this the heart math and there's the heart focused breathing?
It's the same. So
Okay.
HeartMath has been studying heart-brain coherence for 40 plus years, since 1990. Dr. Roland McCready is at the head of it. He's the head, sorry. Roland would be, he's a very humble man. He'd say, I'm not the head, he's like, I'm just the director of research, you know. So he actually is behind a lot of the work that Joe Dispenza does. Many
Okay.
people are familiar with Joe's work, and a lot of that is based on HeartMath. So to go to the earlier point of our brains and how they work, most people have heard of our amygdala, that's the fight or flight part of our brain. But what they don't realize, Lauren, is that our higher brain can't function until the lower brain first feels safe. So that's why heart math has proliferated amongst business entrepreneurs, first responders, police officers, etc. Because what happens is by allowing slow, deep, heart focused breaths in and out through the heart, you regulate your nervous system, your HRV. Anybody who has Whoops or Apple Watches or Aura Rings, they can measure all of this HRV. Yeah, so you understand.
Yeah.
actually tells you how good your HRV is, and that correlates to your biological age and how you show up in the world. So when we regulate our nervous system using this heart-focused breathing, then we're able to regain access to our higher brain function and make better choices in our communication and be able to better understand and communicate more effectively.
So interesting how much the brain and the heart are connected. And
Yeah.
to realize that if you are in flight or fight mode, there's an overwhelming fear that you're not paying attention to, that it will impact your ability to think.
Yeah, it does. It absolutely does. So that's why when I work with people, I tell them Batman is one of the only superheroes who is not superhuman. I mean, think about it. Superman can fly and has a special vision, and Spider-Man can walk up walls. But Batman is a human who has a super tool belt. So in order for us to become our superhuman, super powerful selves, we too need to have our own super tool belt, just like Batman. So when we find ourselves falling off a metaphorical cliff, arguing with our boss, our children, our romantic partners, whomever, that we can pull one of those tools. HeartMath is one of 183 tools that I use regularly with myself and clients to support them.
183 tools.
Autism,
It's a
because
lot of tools.
people think facetious. My husband said to me over dinner one night, he's like, honey, is it really 183? I was like, would you like me to start listing? And we got
Oh my gosh.
30 over a romantic dinner one night. I was like, okay, really? It's like, I believe you.
Wow. We're going to get into some of the tools. I'm not going to ask you to name the 183, but what I want to focus our conversation on is this term superconnector.
Yes.
And I want to know what that means to you and why it's important in today's world.
I didn't know this term superconnector. That same island that I was at a couple of years ago for a mastermind where I gave the talk, there was a gentleman there that I met named Charles Bird, who's probably officially the first superconnector I ever met. And I remember Charles and I did a call shortly thereafter where he introduced me to an idea of something called a referral party. So imagine a lot of us get on a call and we might talk about the weather or our friends or politics or whatever's happening in the world. When I get on a call with somebody, as Charles taught me to do, is I ask, how can I be of service? What's lighting you up right now? What's alive for you? And then when I'm on a call with somebody, I have a list of every person I meet. So in the first column is the person who I'm speaking with. And the second column is the person who referred me that person. So I can always thank them immediately after the call and be cognizant and pay them a referral bonus if they've referred me any sort of client or business.
Yeah.
Then the next column is something that friends of mine, Randy Moland and Mark Fujiwara, came up with. We're also super connectors, which is the +2 concept. Did I go through this with you in our intro call?
No.
Oh, it's so much fun. So I love this. So you know how sometimes you meet somebody, Lauren, and you're like, you're my person. That's it. We're best friends for life. Like you just like, I just want to go out for coffees. I want to hang out. I want to travel with you and spend time together.
Yes.
That's what we call a +2 person, where
Okay.
by being with that person, your energy is amplified. It's not a judgment of the person. It's an observation of your energy post-call. So when Mark tells the story of how he came up with this, he was running a very successful financial company and he has a wife and daughter. And one day his wife is like, honey, why are you just such a jerk on Thursdays? She's like, you have no energy for me and our daughter, and you're rude and mean and short-tempered.
Yeah.
And he's like, what's going on? So he looked at his calendar, and sure enough, Lauren, there was this client who zapped his energy like -500. All right, so we go -2 to +2, which I'll get into in a moment. And then he realized, wow, what if I rated my energy after every call? And so when you get into +2, it means you immediately want to invest more time, energy with that person because it's going to amplify you. When you get into a +1, it's like, oh, that was interesting. I got a taste of it. I want more. I want to explore it. That's +1. The 0, excuse me, is just what it sounds like, net 0. You barely remember the person. Often you don't remember them after the call. It's no win, no loss.
Yeah.
-1 is there was a little ick. Maybe the person was taking, maybe there was just a little bit of complaining going on, and that's okay. I'm going to digress here for a moment. If you're going to complain, get permission to complain. Get permission to take out the trash or dump on somebody, but don't dump on somebody without permission. Say, oh, Lauren, girl, I need to level with you. I just had a 2-hour flight be delayed, blah, blah, blah. Can I just share this with you for a moment? And then you get consent so you're not like draining the person's energy. But in a -1, there might have been some sort of taking energy. Now, in a -2, your energy is zapped, like Mark's client, where you're like, I feel drained. You have no energy for your family or friends or anything that brings you vitality.
Yeah.
And so, as a super connector, to take it back into all of this, one thing Charles taught me is we have referral parties. So I get on a call with you and we have this list. So I write down my energy and I write down what people want.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm on a call with you, I'm writing down what matters to you, how that works. And then we refer each other people in real time on the call. So
Wow.
I give people thousands of referrals every year. Like I was just on a call with a woman who's doing a summit for climate change with King Charles in London. I think I gave her 5 referrals within a 30-minute call because it's just like,
Yeah.
they all just
Yeah.
come together.
The power of referrals is so strong. Jennifer, you introduced me to Charles Bird
Oh, yeah.
and a couple other individuals. He introduced me to one person, one individual, and that individual introduced me to 3 more individuals. And so it's just like this snowball effect. And it's so incredible what's possible when we connect one another. We're not meant to do this all alone.
Exactly. It's like this beautiful spider's web. In fact, my call right after this, I have to share this and shout out to Johan Nigeria, who did this for me. So I give referrals and I don't track it. I don't track who I referred you to or what happens with it. If you thank me, great, but I won't even remember probably. It just comes and passes through.
Yeah.
So Guy Johan is a super connector out of Australia, puts on events, has a tech company, and I send him referrals for various things, speakers, etc. And one day he messages me a month ago and says, Jen, I have a gift for you. And I said, okay. He said, go get in your WhatsApp. I was like, okay, eyebrow arched, yes. It was a group, Lauren, of 32 people I had introduced him to over a year, and he called it the Jennifer Hill Tribe. And the first time ever tonight, there are 93 of us now in this group. In a month, that's grown to 93 people, all loving, supporting each other, podcasters, entrepreneurs, investors around the world. And tonight, we're doing 2 calls tonight and tomorrow night to accommodate everybody's time zones. We're literally going to get on a call and everybody's just going to uplift and support each other. And Jem, who introduced us, is part of the tribe.
Wow. With everyone I meet now, I'm like, who else can I introduce you to? Because it's just like such an incredible way to expand all of our consciousness, all of our ability, all of our lives by introducing those who you're connected to others that you're connected to. And it's not a hard thing to do.
And it brings so much joy. So I was just at an event in Scottsdale a couple weeks ago with Charles. Charles Bird was putting this incredible event called Flow. And Robert Cialdini, the author of Influence, was there speaking. Have you read his book?
I haven't.
Life-changing.
Okay.
Literally.
I need to read it.
I recommend to everybody, drop what you're doing, go read it. One is Robert Cialdini, Influence. The other is Hook Point by Brendan Kane. Brendan is the one who helped Vishen Lakhiani become famous with his social media and so forth. So going back to Robert Cialdini, Robert talks about the 6 points of influence, and then he wrote a 7th one. But one of the 6 ones is people love to give. This idea of reciprocity. If I give, then it's just like it creates this beautiful loop. It's almost like an infinity symbol of giving and receiving and giving and giving. Block either side of that loop, then it creates a short circuit. Like I was on a call with somebody earlier and she's like, well, I want to give you more. What else can I give you? And I didn't have anything else to ask. I'm like, oh God, so I need to get better at it, because then you stop the reciprocity loop and then that has the other person not feel as empowered.
So we're afraid to ask for what we need, but it really is like ask and you shall receive, and those who give will be given.
Yes.
Instead of what's in it for me, how can I be of service? How can I help others?
Yeah, and it just creates this this energy of joy and abundance, and it's just like, because I give, then it's kind of like in the early 2000s there was a wonderful movie called Pay It Forward, I think with Kevin Spacey, and there was this movement called Pay It Forward, where people for a year or two, a couple of years, you would go to Starbucks and all of a sudden the person in front of you already paid for you and everybody else's drinks behind you. Or you'd go to the gas station and cover somebody else's gas. And it created this virality and this network effect. And that's, I think, what we're all about right now. And to go back to super connections, there's an element of connect to yourself first, though, because there's always going to be an imbalance. If I'm giving, but I'm not fulfilled within myself, that's what I call the golden triangle of connection. You must have connection for yourself, allows for connection to others, which allows for connection to purpose. And if we're missing that connection to self, that's where you hear of billionaires, millionaires, influencers, successful people who still feel emptiness. It's because that piece of the puzzle was missing. Cultivate that and the rest of it works out.
How do we cultivate that
So many
connection to self?
tools. All right. I'll give you some of my favorite ones.
Okay.
Take time for introspection. Take time to journal,
Mm.
inner child work, meditate.
Mm.
There are so many different ways that we can do this. The biggest secret I tell people about this, Lauren, is that we all have this deep inner knowing. Do we go for this job interview and change jobs or not? Do we go on this date or do we break up with this person, right? And there's a still, quiet voice that is whispering to us 24/7, but we don't hear it because our ego is on the megaphone. And so we can't hear this little voice that's saying, go left instead of right, go to this place. Like one of my dear friends I just saw in Paris last night for dinner was talking about calling in her one, like how important that was for her. And then today she was at a fashion show in Paris and just met a guy because she was really just like calling it in. But you can't hear to pause and go right or left or go to this coffee shop instead of that coffee shop if we don't cultivate that silence.
Mm.
Do heart-focused breathing. One of my favorite things from another teacher that I know, Sister Dr. Jenna, she and her team of the Braha Kumaris, they encourage people spend 1 minute at least at the top of every hour. Set an alarm and end your meeting, end your call 3 minutes before the top of the hour and spend one of those minutes cell phone free, in silence, device free. Just sit quietly and be by yourself. And when you turn down the volume of the ego and turn up the voice of the soul, the spirit, the inner knowing, the higher self, all of a sudden life is like boom, 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 boom. I just had this happen the other day. I was at a mastermind in Mexico last week after Charles's event, and I was supposed to be there until Sunday and then fly to Paris. And one day I'm just meditating that morning and I heard go home. And I'm like, home to Portugal? I'm like, I'm not supposed to be in Portugal for another week and a half. And I heard go home. So I was like, okay, universe, I'll make you a deal on this. If you really want me to go home, I'm going to go and I'm going to try to cancel the original flight I had. And I demand that you make it the easiest refund I've ever received in my life. And if you give me that refund, then I will rearrange my whole travel schedule to come home for a few days and spend my birthday, which was this last weekend at home. So kid you not, Lauren, easiest refund in the history of the world. Shout out to Air France. I fly all the time. I've been on like 14 flights in 2 weeks. So I go to click the refund button. It's like, boop, your money will be back in your account in 2 to 3 business days. I was like, sign the universe. And that night I made a new friend on the plane, like because I rearranged my whole schedule. This guy and I talked for 2 hours on the plane. He's flying out for my husband's birthday. We had lunch the next day in Mexico. Like it was just so much fun. Who's now a new dear friend. And that wouldn't have been possible had I not listened to that inner knowing.
To believe we're being divinely guided and to listen to that inner voice, which I wholeheartedly believe is always there. I think it is tuning into that. And that can be tricky if you feel like you've never heard it because maybe the ego is so loud. And something that I notice in individuals oftentimes is they don't like to be alone because they maybe don't feel comfortable being alone. They feel lonely. They constantly want to distract themselves, be out doing something or being with someone. What are some like initial steps? Because you can say, oh, meditate or do this breathing, but that can maybe seem overwhelming because they don't know where to start. What do you think is a good first step for individuals who are seeking this external love, validation, etc., to understand it really all starts with you?
I love it. Hug yourself. Every day I do this every morning. I used to hate myself. I was bulimic for decades, suicidal, tried to take my own life 3 times. So if I can do it, anybody can. I was like curled up in a ball and just like, take me out. I can't get this. So it's so sweet. You literally do this. You wrap your arms around each other. You give yourself a hug. I do this every day. And I say, I love you. I cherish you. You are beautiful. You're intelligent. And I accept you. And it was the best advice I ever got when I was going through divorce about 7 years ago, before I really deep dove into my spiritual work. One of my best friends gave me the best advice ever. She said, Jen, you deserve to find someone who will cherish you. Though first, you need to cherish yourself. Date yourself. Baths are a thing. Every day, no matter where I am in the world, I take a bath. I enjoy at least a 10-minute bath. I have a list, like I have a 2-hour practice in the morning. You don't have to go that deep, but whether it's a bath, whether it's hugging yourself, taking yourself out to your favorite coffee shop and just reading a book, carving out 10 minutes, prioritize yourself. And here was one from Arthur, who I mentioned earlier. Look at yourself in the mirror every day and say, I love you. I
Mm-hmm.
love you.
Yeah.
That
And
will change your life.
insert name. I love you, Jennifer. I love you, Lauren. Looking deep into your own eyes, and you
Yeah.
can feel that. I
Oh
like
my
to say, yeah, you're with the person you're going to spend the rest of your life with, and that's you. Prioritize that relationship.
Yeah. And that's it. And this is what's possible is there is no right or wrong way to start. I think I don't even know if I still have this website. I might. It's called 101spiritualtools.com. There was a book I wrote just for fun during COVID that was meant to be part of a 10-part series. And then life happened and I'm running businesses and stuff. But there's a list in the blog section. Let me check. I think the website still exists. It's called 101spiritualtools.com. And if you go there, there's on that tools.com. There should be on the blog section of that site. Yep, it is still there. I did not even know that.
Great.
If you go to the blog resource, go continue reading resources from the books, and it has probably 40 or 50 of some of my favorite tools listed in there.
Does the 2-hour morning routine entail the 183 tools that are in the tool belt?
So it's a great question. I would say every day I actively use probably 30 or more tools, but they're always a little different. Like today on the plane, I was reading a great book, actually rereading it, by Florence Scovel Shinn. Have you heard of her, the book, The Game of Life and The Game of
How to
Life?
play it.
Yeah. And she has all of these incredible affirmations. I'll read you one from the book. So this is new. So I wrote down some of my own favorites that I say affirmations every day. So I wrote down some of hers and some of mine. One that she said that I loved is I now smash and demolish by my spoken word every untrue record in my subconscious mind. They shall return to the dust heap of their native nothingness, for they came from my own vain imaginings. I now make my own perfect records through the Christ God universe, insert whatever word you choose, within the records of health, wealth, love, and perfect self expression. This is the square of life and the game completed. And so I have a bunch, I have about 30 affirmations I use, but I just started writing down all these affirmations
Yeah.
while I was on the plane
Yeah.
earlier.
I love affirmations and especially the positive I am statements every morning for me and my guided meditation, red light therapy. I am love, I am light, I am abundant, I am worthy, and I attract everything I desire. And, programming the subconscious mind, because as we've discussed, like you're running on a set of unconscious programs that have been in you since you were maybe 5 years old and they're running your life. And so to start to program your subconscious mind for who you want to be and what you want to achieve in your life to ensure you're thinking in alignment with your desired future.
Yeah, and if I may, there's something, this will be on YouTube too, where people can see the video, right?
Yes.
Okay, so for anybody who wants a bonus, this is one of my top 3 favorite tools that I use every single day, is a technique where you cross one hand on top of the other, and this is for reprogramming beliefs, and you clasp your fingers, and you pull it up, and you cross one ankle on top of the other, and when you're saying these positive affirmations that Lauren's referring to, I'm lovable, I'm enough, etc., you hold this position, and because you're syncing the left and right hemispheres of the brain by crossing one hand over the other, you actually, neuroscience wise, I've talked to many of my neuroscientist friends about this, rewire your brain rapidly, faster than you would with the affirmation alone.
Wow. So interesting. Thank you for sharing that, Jennifer.
Yeah, my pleasure.
As we begin to wrap up, let's get into what's next for you. I was sharing, I just listened to the first episode of your newest podcast, Superconnections. Talk to us about that and what's on the horizon.
Yeah, thank you. So I just launched this new podcast, Superconnections, after doing regarding consciousness for a few years. And I've realized that's my purpose, is to superconnect others to themselves, others, and their purpose. I've been given this gift, and now I want it to proliferate and happen around the world for everybody else. So you'll be able to find Superconnections on iTunes and all the different places. And also on YouTube, you can find me, Jennifer K. Hill, at Jennifer K. Hill on YouTube, where you can find all my old regarding consciousness episodes and some things I did with Deepak and Bruce and others. And what's next is I just joined as a partner in a mastermind called Epic Fit, the EPICFIT, which is a group of visionaries, about 33 of us from around the world, where we come together and we support one another with fulfilling our visions and dreams in the world. And exponentially increasing our connections to ourselves and others and our purpose. So I just joined that. I'll be at that event in Portland, Oregon in May, which is open to non-members. If people want more details, they can ask about it. And building Optimatch. So we have a software called Optimatch that allows people to answer a set of matching questions and tells you how you're motivated. Businesses use it internally for employees, and communities use it to match members. And the super exciting thing that I just hung up with our tech team on is I've had people begging Lauren and asking, well, I want to see how I match with my best friend, my this, my that. And we haven't built that function. So just today they had wireframed it for me. In the next few months, there'll be a button that you can check that says, I want to see how I match with my best friend, my lover, my colleague, my child, whatever. And then there'll be another feature too where you can check a box and it'll say, match me with new friends around the world. Match me with new business partners. So I'm so excited.
So fantastic. Congratulations. You are such an inspiration. I'm so grateful to be connected. Jennifer, is there anything you'd like to leave our audience with today before we sign off?
Remember that whatever is happening in the world or around you, it is happening for you. And if you can ask yourself this question, how is this happening for me? What is the light in this that I cannot yet see? Be in the inquiry and feel the pain. Sometimes, you know what? I'm not going to lie. I curl up in a ball and cry. Despite having 183 tools, sometimes the tool I use is cry it out, feel the emotion, process it, and move through it. Though always be looking for the road that's being paved to you for your highest and best good. And even though sometimes it might go sideways or backwards or upside down, and you might feel like it's bumpy and you're never going to survive it, there's light at the end of the path, and stay true to your path, and you will always find what you're looking for.
What is the light in this? What is it here to teach me, Jennifer? Thank you so much for coming on today.
My pleasure.